Here we are. welcome to YouTube. YouTube, which satiates my daughter's addiction daily. YouTube. We are sponsored by YouTube. No, we're not. We are a TV podcast, but my goodness, we can't help but comment on a couple of things. And we'll begin a little off the beaten path of TV and say, I'm glad you're all back from Burning Man. Fresh at home, looking
Or
great, by the way.
if you're not, you may still be stuck there on Tuesday. We don't know. Quarantined by the World Health Organization.
Just with the little cordon, little caution tape around you.
How do you think the rationing is actually going at Burning Man?
Very well, I assume.
You think so? Like a bunch of like really rich people are rationing and sharing
Probably a recipe for
their food and water.
Success, right? They're rich. They must be good at it.
Isn't this what happened with the French Revolution?
Is that what Burning Man is?
It is now. So this is how stupid I am, and I'm sure you guys can explain it. You're smarter than I. How do you get stuck at Burning Man just because it rained? Am I right? It just got a little.
I don't think it just rained. I think it was like some torrential.
Okay.
Like roads were washed out.
Okay, fair.
Like desert rain can be really bad because the ground won't absorb it when it's really dry.
Okay, see,
so
I knew you guys would explain it better.
Away.
So you couldn't just walk out?
I think even walking, you're gonna lose if you have boots, you have to be careful not to lose your boots. You're physically fighting. Think about walking through really thick mud, only for miles at a time.
This is a real Cormac McCarthy the road situation. What's that, Natalie?
It's the quicksand they always warned us about as kids.
That's true.
In the 80s, every episode of Incredible Hulk ended with quicksand. You're right. So here we are. It was all at Burning Man. Any more Burning Man jokes in you? You want to fire away at?
Burning Man jokes.
I don't understand Burning Man.
Me
and if
either.
a lot of people are, I don't know. The internet's really funny right now because, on X, which, good Lord.
It's his mama named him Cassius Clay. I'm gonna call him Cassius Clay.
Yeah. On Twitter, it's funny because the safety measures that may have been in place if this had happened a year ago, where it's there's a blue check mark there. This is an actual news organization. All of that has just crumbled under the weight of a man with the same hubris as the kind of people who go to Burning Man. So it's very funny to me, and nobody really seems to know what's true and what's not, and who knows.
I also get Burning Man and Coachella confused.
I get Burning Man and the Wicker Man confused.
But that's kind of easier for me. One's a movie, I think. Two movies, actually.
Is it though?
I
don't sure it's just a movie.
One's a movie and a remake, and the other is a festival. What is Burning Man? Is it like a music festival, or is it?
It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer eats that really hot chili and he wanders out into the desert having a vision.
This is the second time this week that episode has come up. And I'll say the same thing that I said the first time. All summer long, daily, I have visions of Homer's vision quest as I'm walking through the Alabama heat. What an episode.
We are a TV podcast again, but it'd be hard not to at least give some cursory thoughts about Jimmy Buffett, wouldn't it? Leaving this world. Adam, I felt like you had some genuine and true thoughts about him. Like, to go a little bit more sober and somber route. You yesterday, you had, insightful kind of things to say about him.
I think he's a better songwriter than he has been reduced to in the public imagination. Yeah. I saw somebody say, well, he's a great example because he had one hit and it connected him with all these people, and he just happily played to that audience his whole life, which was They were trying to say, like, if you have a hit, be glad that you have that one hit and, embrace that and blah, blah, blah. But this dude wrote a lot of really good songs. I mean, they were obviously talking about Margaritaville, but Come Monday is a fine tune. Just this morning, I watched, he did a David Letterman interview, early days with Letterman. And Letterman asked him, he plays a new song, and then Letterman has specifically requested, hey, if you don't mind, will you play Come Monday?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Letterman gets it. For sure.
Letterman usually does.
Yeah.
He was an author and an entrepreneur, probably a better businessman than he was any of those other things.
He's pretty darn good at that. I told you all the story of being on an island in Belize and realizing that everything there was owned by Jimmy Buffett.
Mr. Margarita.
But it wasn't advertised as such. There wasn't like a sign that said,
welcome to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, Belize. No,
right.
It's just like it appeared because I didn't know we were getting off on like a controlled island like that. And then slowly like, oh, everything in this restaurant is named after a Jimmy Buffett song. Oh, they have Land Shark and Land Shark affiliates on draft. And it just was, as you start looking around, it's like, oh, I know what's happening here. Interesting guy, though. I mean, even just on if you'd only been the Margaritaville and the Cheeseburger in Paradise guy,
mm-hmm.
the fact that he just kind of said, you know what, I don't care that fellow musicians may not think this is cool. I'm going to ride around, wear flip-flops, and play escapist beach music to people who are having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have a great time, too. But I think the people... I don't know if you guys saw Sir Paul McCartney wrote a very touching tribute to him on social media.
Really cool.
I don't think you get those kind of that kind of
platitudes.
Support, but yeah, the platitudes said about you if you weren't a pretty interesting guy.
I had the honor of interviewing Will Kimbrough, a South Alabama musician, and he worked with Jimmy Buffett quite a bit. And played with him in incarnations of his band. Will had nothing but great things to say about him, and it was very, again, insightful that he was a very wise guy. Like Jimmy Buffett was not just playing to the lowest denominator.
Right. And that, I'll send y'all when we get off air that Letterman interview. Yeah, I
encountered it.
Did you?
I just didn't click it, but I saw it. Yeah. I was like, I saw the Letterman. No, I will, but send it to me so I will click it this time. Yeah.
He's a guy who, I think what that person who tweeted, if you have a hit like that, he's a great example of just, I'm glad I had this one thing. I'm going to lean into it. He was smarter than that. It wasn't just like, I'm leaning into selling Parrot Head merch. He kind of was. I saw Bro and Lawler, great guitar player. He plays with St. Paul. I think it was him that said he wrote songs about being happy that were good, which are like the hardest types of songs to write.
Yeah. But I mean, even Margaritaville has a tiny, tiny undercurrent of sadness.
Oh, Margaritaville is like pretty deeply melancholy.
Well, so does and Come Monday too.
Oh, I was
just trying to think. We've named those already, but yeah, okay. So Cheeseburger in Paradise. There's no undercurrent of
that's what I want to know what that song's about. Now he's
just a good time.
It's just.
What if you're a vegan?
Exactly. Well,
all there is in paradise are cheeseburgers.
Well, you tried to amend your carnivorous habits.
Aren't there vegan versions of cheeseburgers now?
Probably not in paradise.
Probably not in paradise. That's what paradise is.
They're impossible to find.
Oh, nice. Hey, are those any good?
They are.
Yeah.
I've debated trying one for a long time, but I just rarely go to Burger King.
It's
or wherever.
You're asking two people who haven't consumed any actual meat products in over a decade if they're good. So like, yeah, they're great.
Who knows?
It's fair. Hey everyone, it's us. We're getting into the real show. We're easing out of the YouTube version, which is video, and you can see us, and we tack on a little extra information. Well, maybe not information. We tack on a little extra segment for you. This week we talked about the passing of Jimmy Buffett, whom we all kind of revere in a loving way, I think, in this way that, you know, we see more of him than just the goofiness that maybe the general public would have seen. So you can go hear that. We talk about Burning Man, because why not? Here we are, though. First segment. We're going to talk about two things today. We're going to talk about the Challenge USA just a little, and we're going to talk about the HBO/Max. I think it was on HBO too.
I think it was HBO documentary.
No, it was. You're right.
I mean, the branding is what I meant to say.
There you go. That's right. Donovan's right. We'll talk about telemarketers. We'll get into that in the second segment. We're all caught up on the Challenge USA, aren't we?
We are.
Lord, yes.
Those of us who celebrate.
I'm agnostic.
Yeah, it's okay. We tried to get you in on the challenge once, and you watched, what, 2 episodes?
I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, I don't get it.
I'm too good for this. I'm Donovan.
You got the vibe.
Donovan's not
I
too
do think
good
I got
for
the vibe.
No, okay. I think here's one thing that might have turned Donovan off. It may have been the novel's worth of text messages I sent him about CT. It may have just been too much. But Donovan J. Reinwald is not too good for the challenge. Donovan, how much college football have you watched this Labor Day weekend?
Oh Lord, I'm gonna watch more tonight. I even looked at what Rutgers was doing. Not much is the answer, but neither is Northwestern, so good for them.
That Donovan will put his eye on Clemson and Duke tomorrow night. Don't you worry.
I'm not as excited about that one, but I do think the LSU Florida State one could be fun.
Yeah, but you're going to watch the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's true. Just to see if there are any heads-up plays.
This is what I'm saying. He's not too good to watch an hour-long edition of the challenge.
Yeah, I gave it the old college try.
There's any heads-up plays.
He said that. For
I feel like I've just been
listeners who
transported back to college.
well, for listeners who don't know, there's a running joke amongst our crew that I don't even know if it's a running joke. It's just that Donovan.
No, it's just real.
It's just Donovan is the guy to watch football with, because you're never certain if he knows exactly what he's talking about or nothing of what he's talking about. Am I right about this, Adam?
He would say things like, if the team that you have a rooting interest for is on defense, he would say, they really got to watch the play action here, which is true basically all times of the game.
You gotta watch your play action.
Huh?
You gotta watch your play action.
Always. But he would trot it out and time it really well, or say something like, they've really got to establish the run game. Something that kind of like put it like one step beyond, like, the team's got to play well. You know what I mean? Like it
like
sounds
go blitz.
Right. Get him none of that kind of stuff. He wouldn't do that. It's always there's enough actual football knowledge in what he says. And it used to irritate people that we watched the games with because they couldn't figure out if they're like, "What? How is he doing this?" The guy that always has, 3 books that he's reading at the same time and weighs, I don't know, $135 at that time, soaking wet. How does he know what's going on here?
I love it.
Yeah, now he's blossomed into the man who pays his mortgage off of college football Saturdays.
Definitely true. And
Or
sometimes
more likely college football Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays.
I was going to say definitely college football Thursday nights. That's a big pool you're fishing in.
The man loves some action.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. And not to get crazily tangential, but I love the notion of someone who's an intellectual but also loves the challenge or college football or take your pick. It's just the dichotomy there is wonderful.
Why not? Why not? Not to get too we're all from Tuscaloosa, and there was always, I'm sure this is true in any major college football town, this vein of well, I like art and I like these things and I scored this on my ACT, so I can't care about college football Saturdays, which is just so dumb.
Yeah, like the better you did on your ACT, the more you should care about. Didn't you used to say that
when we tried to get you to watch the challenge in college?
Yeah, I did, and you know what? I was wrong.
That's right.
A grown man admitting his failures. Another facet of that is in Tuscaloosa, you also had the rock and rollers who would cross their arms at the games. Or
Well, that's what I mean by people who are like too like, I'm an artist.
hip.
I do, like I'm too cool for this or whatever.
I think the Dexatines really kicked that door down for some people, as Elliot every show would yell something about the Tide or Nick Saban or something.
Yeah.
Or TJ Lavin.
Or what?
Or TJ Lavin. Did Elliot never bring that up at a show?
Not in my recollections. We're caught up on the Challenge USA. Were we thrilled to see Michaela in elimination at the very least?
Yes.
I wasn't.
Why not, Natalie? Because she won?
No, I kind of like Michaela.
Oh, I thought you were in agreement with us last week that Michaela kind of sucks. But maybe that was just Adam.
I could have been, and I just don't remember. But the last 2 episodes we've watched, I really like her.
How so? How's she come around?
I don't know. She's just coming across as. There's some people that come in from like Survivor and Big Brother that think, oh, I know how this works. I can do this. But then they clearly don't. And I kind of feel like maybe she does a little bit. She actually does kind of get it. And she does, but she still isn't doing like the challenge stupid drama. She's very like her when Wes says, why won't you talk to me? Or what do you have against me? Or I can't figure you out. And her answer was just like, good. Like I thought that was great.
Really? Yeah. Wes was feigning his sadness and desperation.
I don't know that he was feigning. Like that didn't come across as him.
His feelings were really hurt, weren't they?
I think he was. I don't know that his feelings were hurt. I think he's just got a lot going on. He's just got a lot of feelings.
He comes back from elimination, and then Michaela goes in this most recent episode. And at the very, very end of the most recent episode, it's going to go to an individual game. What are your thoughts? I love it. When they switch it out like that, I just love it.
I do too, and Natalie was kind of rolling her eyes at I kind of laid out a sequence of events and said, this worked out pretty well for the producers. And you always kind of wonder, are they waiting for certain things in game to happen so that they can pull a switch to a different format? And that's probably not true because the games are so elaborate now that they seem to take maybe days to set up, so they probably can't change on the fly too quickly. But it is good that Michaela was about to, Wes is able to navigate his way into the loving arms of Tori and Bananas. And then as soon as Michaela is about to blow that up, it switches to individual. Always just kind of makes you wonder. I'm pro protecting the faces of the challenge. I think they have earned this, but if it's pure randomness that it happened now or not, I'm with you. The individual game will be very fun to watch, and to see some of the folks who have been beating their chests a little bit about how well they're doing have to do it, like Cassidy, people like her. Can they do it outside the shelter of a team? Always fun. Nothing real. I think, Natalie, you said I used to make fun of this show. I think what got me in was watching Zach get his comeuppance on what season of that is that where he just completely breaks down in the final.
Oh, Free Agents.
Yeah, he's like screaming on the side of the mountain saying he can't do it. And Laurel's standing over him like, you're being such a baby right now. Nothing is better on reality TV to me than people getting comeuppance. And I think there's a high likelihood of that happening in the individual portion of the program. So I'm here for it.
I like a switch. I like it when the show goes from teams and pairs to individuals or any variation on that. I do prefer an individual game, just if I had to pick the format. Speaking of producers, I think we were all a little uncertain, or we all questioned if Wes really won the elimination against Dusty. It was a timed, and you never saw the clock.
I think he probably did. I think the excitement of Dusty, spinning the wheel or whatever and Wes falling that seemed much faster than Wes gaining that time by methodically untying some ropes. I do miss the days. I mean, Natalie, they used to like put up like they would say at the end of one round, like, Wes, you got it done in like, whatever it was, 2 minutes and 38 seconds, right? They used to do that.
Oh yeah,
A lot more.
there was always a time clock too. That was at least on our screen.
Yeah, they have removed that element, which is kind of a bummer. But I mean, do you think they kept Wes around?
Me? Or Blaine? I don't. I mean, I think. What's the Dusty? I think his edit made him look a lot faster. I think the the competitors watching, saw Wes come off the wheel faster once Dusty started spinning it, and I think that confused him. But I mean, it all came down to the rope untying. Dusty moved through it a lot faster, but he wasn't as methodical. So I'm not. And honestly, I think if it was rigged, they would have made it a much closer time than 37 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's everything that led up to it is what made me think it, with Wes saying, this is probably my last challenge. The sadness of him possibly going home for the viewers. So Tyler's very boring, huh?
Who's Tyler?
Exactly. I knew that was coming. With the hair.
Is he the long hair guy?
The long hair, and they got him to kiss the girl at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a snooze fest. Both of them, everybody involved in that kiss can just ride off into the sunset. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Alyssa hasn't done or proven too much. Speaking of someone who's not boring, at least, Josh should know when not to talk. I don't know how he has not learned this skill. Like, when Tiffany calls out the entire row of competitors, all you have to do is just stand there grumpily. And then he talks. I don't know why you had to call us out. It's not you. And it might have been him, but he doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Somewhere his therapist is just thrilled every time he does that.
He needs therapy, probably.
I'm sure he's probably in it. I'm sure most of them are. I'm sure it's challenge mandated therapy.
He needs to see Paulie's.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the challenge of the last two episodes since we've gathered?
I think talking about people almost being non-existent on the show, the girl that Michaela was scared to go against, I swear that's the first time she's been on this program.
Chanel. Yeah.
And that makes me wonder, kind of like when Fessy was getting almost no screen time early. I looked at Natalie and I was like, you know what this means? He's probably going to win, or at least make a very deep run. And I wondered the same thing with her, because the fear that everybody had about potentially going against her makes me think she has dominated things in a way that we aren't seeing. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out in the next few weeks.
She either does well or is just boring. There's nothing to put on the screen about her.
When Tori said we won't be able to hide behind teams anymore, and if you're not a good athlete, you're probably going to get exposed, she was one that I thought about, like, oh, this could be good. Tori versus Chanel.
Yeah. And then Tiffany's elimination seemed to paint her as someone who wasn't going to do well anyway.
No. That was a cool elimination.
Kind of. With the basketball.
It's kind of like an early challenge elimination.
Yeah. There's usually like variations on a set of themes, like little twists on familiar games, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That one was pretty out of left field. It was fun to watch.
I felt like I could have done that one.
It would have been fun to do. Maybe that's why I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, a lot of these I'll see and I'm like, nope, not, I would never do that, or I would hate to do it. I could have done that one though.
I would sign me up for that one all day instead of hold your arm over your head on an ice block.
Yeah, or hall brawl where I would die. My life would end. Okay. Challenge USA. We're still in it. How many episodes are we thinking are left? 3 or 4? Well, it would have to be
Probably more than that. They got to shave off a bunch of folks.
That's true.
Probably taking 8 people to the final. So we got quite a ways to go.
Okay. They're airing 2 a week. I don't know why I said 3. It would be probably a nice even number. Okay, we'll take a break here in the audio. I'll tell you what's up with the Alabama Tate related things. And we'll talk telemarketers from HBO on the other side. Y'all sticking, y'all bailing?
I want to watch this program, so
Okay.
I'll probably bail.
Yeah.
Especially the advertising that y'all have done for it.
The fact that the one guy is basically Jeff Hansen.
That's when y'all said that last night. I was like, "Damn, I already meant to watch this show, and now should I just turn the Bama game off and watch it?"
Yeah. All
right.
Adios.
See y'all.
Adios. So Patrick J. Pespis here.
Every scene, Patrick J. Pespis.
Except that I noticed right at the end when he's meeting Blumenthal, he's like, "Oh, Patrick Pespis."
Oh, really?
he drops the J. Maybe he's got nervous because he was meeting the senator.
Yeah, he's in the big time then. Telemarketers from HBO is a pretty unique documentary in that it's not really made by any seasoned or professional filmmakers at the time of its filming. Over the course of the filming, I think at least one of them becomes more professional filmmaker. The idea is that this one guy I'm speaking of, Sam, is his name, and he has a hyphenated last name,
Lippman something, right?
Lippman something. Gosh, this one guy, Sam, had quit high school in the 9th grade, and he's told by his parents to get a job. An easy one for him is a call center job. He expects to be making calls for a company. He quickly realizes it's an insane work environment, and that's like a lot of episode 1. And since he sort of has aspirations to be a documentarian anyway, he starts filming with rudimentary methods, and we're talking, what is this, 2010, 2008, in that range?
I can't remember. Yeah, before 2010, definitely. Like,
And
YouTube was around, but that,
and Sam
still a while back.
Befriends a few of the people that he's working there with. And so we'll spoil it if you haven't seen it. We're going to break down what's happening in some of this and if it worked or not. Quick shout out to Todd Edgar, who turned me on to this. I had debated watching it, and he sent me a text and asked me, have I watched it, and that it's insane and bonkers. And then I saw a lot of headlines that said basically the same thing. It drew me to it. So, Patrick J. Pespis.
Patrick J. Pespis here.
One of the main guys he befriends, and like really does befriend. They're buddies in the end.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A good documentary isn't just a good story. This one's a good story. Like, there's things to unravel and find out. But a good documentary has to have more. Did this one have anything beyond a crazy story for you?
I think that it did for me, mostly because they do kind of, like, it it kind of ends up in a different place that it started, because like with that first episode, it was basically just like, hey, look at how nuts this is. Look at what we got away with. Like, look at how no one cared. But then it kind of morphs through into following the money, and it becomes kind of a bigger story. And that's where I got interest of, like, it was all intro. I'll say right up front, like, each episode was interesting. I'm not sure if they needed 3 episodes or if it could have just been one longer movie, but that's neither here nor there. They were all interesting, but like once if you're inclined to feel cynical about things, then you should probably watch this documentary because it will confirm your feelings.
It'll fuel that fire of cynicism.
Did for me. I mean,
Yeah.
If I'd always kind of looked askance at those FOP stickers,
Really?
and then you watch this, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into the details of it.
Definitely.
But
anyway, sorry to answer your question. Yes, for me, it provided more.
I think
it went into it more, and just following kind of honestly, Pat's journey too was kind of interesting. Like you kind of want things to work out for him.
Yeah, you're going exactly where I was mentally. It armed me with knowledge, which I think good documentaries can do. And I think that it was good in its scrappiness. You know, it gives you this idea that everyone's got a story and anyone can tell a story, and maybe anyone can even expose an evil.
Yeah, totally. Because like, especially, I mean, Patrick is really the main character for this, right? And he's like,
yes,
like he's not anyone necessarily like special. He's certainly not a trained journalist. Or
if anything,
like that.
he's the opposite. He's
yes.
If you saw this guy,
he does it.
If you saw this guy in the street, or if you knew him as an acquaintance, you would think he's the bottom of society. So we said we'd get into spoilers. He's doing heroin at work. He's snorting heroin at work.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
This is a complete side note.
Go
it's
ahead.
amazing how many people are just fine with like, filming doing this totally illegal thing. That's probably what we used in the trial, right?
I know, especially in that time period.
Yeah, like, seriously.
This was before
going up on YouTube and stuff too.
Yeah, this was way before everyone had an iPhone or an Android with a camera that they were just filming everything for TikTok or whatever. And this, he's like, yeah, I don't mind. And he's snorting heroin in the break room and then goes out and makes his calls. And to get into this,
half asleep, getting those numbers.
but yet he'll snap out of his nod, as the dope people call it. He snaps out of his nod enough to respond to the people he's scamming. So yeah, the intricacies, I guess if you're this far, you've watched it, but the intricacies are that it turns out they're working for this company, CDG, and this company goes to various places, like a fraternal order of police was one of their huge ones, and they'll say, look, if you'll let us use your name, image, likeness, we'll give you 10% of anything we make, and we'll keep the 90%. And the people are like, well, we're not doing that anyway. 10% is better than nothing, right? That's the idea. It does make sense, but it's so crooked because they get in there and they hire people who are telling pretty blatant lies. Hey, I'm calling for, they even get to the point where they're saying, I am a cop, I am an officer.
Yeah, like they had that one guy, I think it was in the second episode, right? The guy whose cell phone dies on him.
Yes.
But he's literally like, he's masquerading as a police officer. He's like, I'm out on patrol or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah. He is deep in the lie.
That's beyond shady.
That's where it got sickening to me, is episode 2. The guy's he's going by he's got different names he uses, all of which are fake and even tied to movies if you just listen carefully when he calls you. One of them was like Falcone or something.
It was totally Falcone.
Yeah, he is straight hustling innocent people out of money. This is where, to me, it got sickening because he's not making a commission. None of these people are making commission. I know he wants to keep his job so that he can eat and obviously buy drugs and do whatever he wants, but to me, it was so sickening of how eager he was to take these people's money, which leads us obviously to the guy who's sitting in his home or apartment, Tommy, who is an ex.
Yeah, the guy that's they blur his face and obscure his voice.
No, this is Tommy who was an ex-murderer.
Oh, the guy, yes, sorry,
he's a convict.
Yes. Wow,
a lot of these people are convicts, and
I'm amazed he let people film, just because every time he's just like, that bitch. Like, he's so nasty.
He's so nasty.
People hang up on him. I mean, I get it, right? It's probably not fun.
It's not.
But, like, he seems mean.
He was the one where they showed when people hung up on him, he would just wish really intricate deaths on him, and it was just scary knowing he had murdered someone in his past 30 years ago.
Pretty unpleasant.
He was not a friendly guy in the first place. The call center people in the first episode, which is much more funny and rollicking, they get hung up on and they make jokes, or they simply go get a bag of Doritos and then come back and they're like playing baseball in the office.
Yeah, it's much more chill.
It's much more chill.
In a way.
to a degree.
To a degree, yeah.
But if the lesson here is that anyone can tell a story and anyone can expose that evil, we have to include the ending, which is that just because anyone can do it doesn't mean shit's going to happen, which is a sad ending.
I mean, if you want to look at maybe a hopeful point of view, they did get this documentary made. We're watching it. They got the Safdies involved with producing it. So that's cool. But also, who knows? Especially because, they kind of started to, especially in the third episode, the stuff that the super PACs can do for raising money.
Yes.
It should be illegal, but it's probably not going to change. There's too much money being thrown around, and it benefits too many people.
It benefits the people in control, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought this documentary was pretty good for what it was, and obviously great for its shock value, but there were a few things that didn't work for me and didn't make it a 5-star piece of television, and the cliffhangers ultimately proved to be red herrings and kind of like...
I think
they didn't play out.
Especially the one where it's like Pat had disappeared. Yeah. And then it's like, not really.
He went away for a little, or I suppose he did disappear for whatever. For like a few weeks.
It's barely a thing. He's like, and then we couldn't, it's like, I thought he was dead. Then we reconnected. It's like 5 minutes, if that. That did not work for me. And that was one of the things, I think that's one of the things where I was thinking, did this have to be 3 episodes with that kind of ending? Or could it have just been a more coherent whole?
Yeah, they referenced Michael Moore a few times, and it could have been a Michael Moore-style documentary. But the 3 episodes do lay out, like the first episode's the rollicking good time of CDG, and then it gets shut down at the end, and then the second episode is the sickening side of just really scamming, and then the third episode is the PACs, where it's a political thing. So there is a clear division, and I thought that was pretty good. It's just the cliffhangers as red herrings didn't make for good TV. There's this tagline, I think, for the show, which is, we got to take them down from the inside, and that proved a little empty, though they do try. And kudos to Pespis for returning to the grind. Yeah. In the last episode, he's a little older. He's 10 years older, and he's not in great health. His family isn't, anyway. His wife, Sue, isn't. But he returns to the grind to shine a light on how PACs are just full of BS. Yeah. They don't even have to tell you any amount of money. They could 100% of that money could go to whatever. And it's scary.
It's a scam, and they do talk about Pat, like Sam's like, Pat was born to be a whistleblower, and there's that one bit where I do think that like you said, the tagline doesn't 100% work, but I just love the bit. I loved it when Pat's like, I guess you could say I am a whistleblower. Like, he just seems so proud of himself.
He'd never realized it.
Yeah, it was. I thought that so that part of it, like the tagline, is a little misleading, but I do still think it gets at something.
Yeah, Patrick's evolution and realization that he is not a bottom-dwelling heroin addict. Yeah, is really the cool point of
it's touching, because there's the bit that I mentioned. I think there's a bit where he's like, we are journalists, like we're doing journalism, and it's like, yeah, he is. Like, you can't say you're not, right? And it was kind of like what you said when we first started talking about this. Is sort of the hook there is like, anyone can do it. It doesn't take a hero. It just takes someone tenacious, a normal person who's tenacious. And
Did you love it as when he bought the hat cowboy hat in Texas? He was like, I'm in Texas.
I'm damn thing everywhere.
I love that so much. Have you ever gotten these calls?
I probably, I definitely, the ones that I mostly used to get Well, I usually I have a 205 area code. So if
Still?
anything comes from so if something comes from to anything that's not Connecticut, I just won't pick it up because I know.
Ah.
So that usually works for me. But you'll stick up the people that are like, "Hey, your warranty's about to expire,"
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah. That's the big one.
Student loans get a lot for student loans. Like you can
Oh.
refinance. My folks I worked with at UConn used to get the like, you're about to be arrested for tax fraud ones. Like you did
Whoa.
something wrong.
Whoa.
The one where they try and be like, you have to do something right now, or the IRS is going to lock you up.
Yeah, that's straight thievery. Not even like hidden behind the fundraising curtain. My dad used to get these calls on his landline, and I'm talking 2001, 2002, 2003, and he would donate, especially to the disabled veterans.
Yeah.
Because we would get these envelopes, these very kind of big envelopes to the disabled veterans where they would have a sticker for him.
Yeah.
And so I knew he was, and I think I'd occasionally see him write a check or something or be on the phone with them. And I never thought much other than I wouldn't give them money. And that's about all I thought. I didn't think this was a scam sort of thing, but wow. And what they do is they prey on this type of person, whether they realize it or not. I'm sure they just have a database of phone numbers, but they end up preying on these people who are idiots and scared of cops or just love sucking the dicks of authority.
I thought it was really grotesque when they talk about, they kind of mention like they've got Spanish language callers, and then they'll target other like immigrant groups, right? Who they're like, they think that this is like the police shaking them down for money, and then they get their sticker and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, and later on at stores
that's really gross.
Yeah, it is. That is really gross. But that's a community you work with some, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you though, Blaine. It is kind of like it takes advantage. Like watching this documentary, it reminded me of how in the town I used to live in, there was like from I don't even know, like 2019 to into 2021, there was a store that just sold Trump stuff, and it's like, it was wall to wall, and like. I don't know if like the guy behind it, what his ideology was, but I guarantee at some point someone there was like, yeah, we're going to make money off of this. And it just absolutely takes advantage of that. And it takes advantage of like polarization, right? Like they were doing stuff where they were playing on white folks' fears about, Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Not always in so many words, but like they're trying to defund the police. Can we count on you?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, that's in the documentary.
No,
they use that language.
It's destructive. Like it's utterly destructive and divisive. In addition to like taking advantage of people's goodwill.
What scared me was he was an FCC guy who took down the CDG. Sort of like the first time around before it's like whack-a-mole, pop up. But he states police unions are incredibly powerful. Like, I did what I could, and that's about it.
It's true. I mean, I'm part of a union. I'm proud to be part of a union.
As am I, and I was actually going to bring that up.
But police unions are often, but we just they're often terrible. They're the bad unions.
But kudos to the union for like the street officers.
Yeah,
who seem to do it on the up and up.
PB. I never heard of that one before.
It's not the FOP.
It's the
FOP.
PBA.
I think that's right.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
The FOP are the ones who sort of take care of the officers, the chiefs, the people who already probably have it okay to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the robocalls are insane when they start, and this is the third episode where it's more modernized, and they're using AI and even using dead people's voices. I had no idea that was happening. Because I don't answer them. So there's a chance that when you answer these, you're talking to a straight up computer that just knows what to say. It's been programmed what to say, and it's using somebody's voice.
even to the point where they had Patrick talking on the phone with the AI, and he's like, "Are you a cop?" And it's like, "Yes." It'll just say whatever to make you believe, believe it, right?
That is wild. Did the documentary make you want to answer the calls now?
No, no, not at all. Like, just because, first off, who has time for that? But also, it's just like, no, I don't want to engage with this in any way.
I respond to the text messages sometimes.
Oh, I never do.
I think I've shown you.
That's how they, Molly. Sorry, my cat's scratching something up. That's how they know your phone number works, and you just get more.
I have answered a few. Yeah, the political action stuff is just, it was good in that it exposed to me how the system is so messed up. It's just one screw in a huge machine.
Yeah.
It's just kind of scary and disturbing.
It really, like, anytime you have something like what I was trying to, I think I've felt mostly the same way. Like, anytime you have something like this where it's kind of how the sausage gets made of our political system, it's like it's sobering, right? Because it is, at the end of the day, it's money. Even if someone, like, I liked Barack Obama fine, but he had tons of money. And it was money that greased his way in there. And, it just comes down to money. And that's what is going on with these PACs.
Yeah.
It just all comes down. And, maybe it goes to a candidate. Maybe it just goes to a slush fund somewhere.
Yeah.
No way to tell.
Yeah, quite gross. As much as Patrick's an underdog and entertaining for TV, was it wise to have him interview some of these people?
Well, there's the bit where, like, I was rooting for him, right? Because I was like, it's great. Like, but also, like, there was the bit where Sam's like, I didn't realize that he's just terrible at this, but he is. But they still let him keep doing it.
And that's like one line in the second episode, and then he does way more interviews after that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's terrible at it. Is that part of the allure, though, I guess?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I kind of liked that they let him do it. I wonder. And, like, obviously he was very tenacious, and he was pretty, like, he wouldn't take no for an answer for a lot of things, but also, he was not a trained interviewer. You could tell. You wanted to step in and tell him, hold on, let them answer first. Yeah.
I saw a very sad comment on a message board, sad because it's true, is that the senator probably did not take him as seriously because he had a tooth or two missing.
Oh, probably, yeah, he had some front teeth missing. That's my senator, Blumenthal.
No way.
Yeah, Connecticut. When they're looking at the police patches on the wall.
Yes.
There's one that's the Vernon Police Department. That's the next town over from me.
Yeah.
It's like 10 minutes from where I sit. Yeah, Blumenthal. He was the attorney general. Now he's the senior senator from Connecticut. Like, they were showing stuff like when he's by the submarine that's down in Groton, Connecticut. Electric Boat and General Dynamics make submarines down there, nuclear submarines.
Why did I think Dakotas?
Yeah, no, he's Connecticut.
Okay.
I did vote for him. Seemed better than the alternative.
I understand. Vulture critic Roxana Hadidi asks the question, what do we want from documentaries anyway? She thinks that this documentary kind of poses that a little.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Do you want them rebel rousing in people's face, exposing truths, or do you want them just documenting and laying out something in this?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we can all think, including this one, is probably more rabble rousing, and then you can if I hadn't been about to say his name, I couldn't. Is it Wiseman? Really famous documentarian, right? And, like, the last documentary of his I saw, he did the Titicut Follies, was his big first one about mental health in Massachusetts back in the 60s. But he did this 3-hour documentary called Ex Libris that is just about the New York Public Library. And there's no commentary. It's just people talking and then stuff happening. And, like, they're both I don't think I could say one is better than the other. They're both different, and they have different ends. You know, they have different means and they have different ends, and they're going to provoke different responses in you.
Yeah. You and I both are part of a union, and I just thought to myself, can you imagine if I'm part of AEA, which is Alabama Education? Could you imagine if the Alabama Education Union tried to raise money via phone and only gave like 5% into anything education or teacher related?
I mean, no, like I'm a state employee in a state that has not particularly well managed its pension fund, so I often get me and my coworkers often get cast as villains by the politicians. If we even try, I can't even imagine how like it would be over for us. Like I can't imagine how mad people would be. But it's police, like it's police and veterans, right? Like people get away with that because they know it's a weak spot.
Police, veterans, firefighters.
It's just really shady.
Yeah, you use those, and you can get away with more because people will turn a blind eye to it because of just the name, just the career that you.
I mean, there's a reason, right? That there's a reason that the military partners with professional sports, like the NFL, to integrate this militaristic stuff into like football games and things, because they know like that it helps normalize it and people won't question it, because if you question it, you might be questioning the troops.
And that is a deep topic for another day.
Yes, it is. Well, I feel like this really did kind of get into that, though, with what it's doing, how people are taking advantage, and really how people are taking advantage of polarization.
Yeah, I think that's good to note. And what it does. Talking about it made me, I think, appreciate what they did even more. Though I still liked it. I think it had its flaws, but it was still... I'm glad, like you said, HBO gave them the chance to give it a venue.
Yeah, I would sum up the whole thing as like... This sounds negative, but I don't mean it that way. I actually liked that it was a little bit of a bait and switch, right? Because it was just like, check out how crazy everything is at CDG. Can you believe we got away with this? But then they go into it more. Yeah. And I think if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have enjoyed watching it as much, or been glad I watched it like I did.
It could not have sustained that Office Space antics for 3 episodes.
Absolutely not.
But I'm glad I got it in the first episode.
Man, some of it, like, just everyone, like, why'd you go there? Because it was a party. Like,
yeah.
It just seems like an actual riot.
There was a guy who, I think that's who you're quoting. He was a guy who just like, I wouldn't work anywhere else. If they were hiring right now, I'd go.
Yes.
I mean, I get it, I guess.
Yeah.
There was a time when I would have loved that environment, probably.
Sure.
Maybe. A little too hectic, but maybe. Okay. Funny stuff. That's the end of our episode this week. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or subscribe to us on Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. We're also, you can stream it from the AlabamaTake.com, our production company. You can watch it on YouTube in 2 different versions. Anyway, we're here for you. As far as you can reach out to us online, social media, and we'll holler back at you. We'll talk and see maybe everyone next week. See ya.